You're born in Rome, 142 CE. The good news? You're born in the greatest city on earth. 1 million people, marble temples, aqueducts that would make a modern engineer weep with inadequacy. The bad news? You're born a slave. The worst news? In about 20 years, you'll be professionally intimate with senatorial bowel movements. The worst news? That's actually considered a promotion. Let's talk about how you got here. Rome in 142 CE is the height of the Pax Romana. Emperor Antoninus Pius rules an empire spanning from Britain to Mesopotamia. The Colosseum is a century old. The roads are paved. The water flows. The medical knowledge? Doctors believe disease comes from bad air, miasma. They're wrong. But honestly, if you've ever been downwind of a Roman public latrine on a July afternoon, you'd believe it too. Life expectancy at birth is about 25 years. If you survive childhood, you might hit 45. Maybe 50 if you're rich and lucky. You are neither rich nor lucky. You're about to become very familiar with other people's luck, specifically what it looks like after they've digested it. Your mother is a household slave, an ancilla, in a middling equestrian family. Your father is either the master, legally irrelevant, or another slave, also legally irrelevant. Under Roman law, you inherit your mother's status. You are property. Your owner has more legal rights over your body than you do. He can sell you, rent you out, or free you if he's feeling generous. Which, spoiler alert, he won't be. At age 8, you're deemed old enough to work. You clean the house. You fetch water. You learn the most important slave skill, invisibility. Be useful. Don't be noticed. At age 10, your owner makes an announcement. "Good news," he says. "I've found you a trade." You're about to learn that when a Roman uses the phrase "good news," you should run. You're rented out to a contractor who manages the public latrines near the Forum. Congratulations, you've just been outsourced to the shit economy. Your first day. You walk into the Foraca. It's a long room. Marble benches line 3 walls, carved with keyhole-shaped holes. Water runs in channels beneath the seats and along a gutter at your feet. The walls are painted. Frescoes of Neptune. Ironic, given what's happening in the water. 20 Romans are seated, togas hiked up, conducting business. One of them is dictating a letter to a scribe. Another is negotiating a grain contract, mid-strain. A third is reading a scroll. Comedies, probably. Based on his expression, the jokes are landing. It's like a WeWork for people who've given up on dignity. The contractor hands you a wooden stick. There's a sponge tied to one end. "This is a tersorium," he says. You stare at it. When they gesture, he continues, you hand it to them. This is when you realize what your job actually is. You're not a janitor. You're not a plumber. You're a human toilet paper dispenser. Here's something history textbooks don't mention. Wealthy Romans use scented oils. Rose, lavender, imported myrrh. Not on themselves. On the marble seats. Your job includes applying perfume to toilet seats before they sit down, after they stand up, sometimes while they're sitting if they complain about the smell. You're essentially an ass sommelier, pairing fragrances with fecal matter. One senator has preferences. More rose on the left side, he'll say. I lean. This is a real job that you have in the greatest empire on earth. Let's walk through your average day as a foracarius. A latrine attendant. It's 4:30 in the morning. Wake up. You sleep in a storage room adjacent to the latrine. Not out of convenience, out of necessity. Slaves don't commute. Slaves exist where they're needed. Your bed is a straw mat. Your blanket is last year's tunic. Your alarm clock is the sound of early morning customers who didn't want to use their chamber pots at home. There's no coffee. Romans have posca, vinegar water. It tastes like regret dissolved in battery acid. You drink it anyway. Complaining is for citizens. 5 a.m. Opening shift. The Foreca operates from dawn to dusk, 6 days a week. The 7th? Still open. You just work a half day. Your responsibilities? 1. Collect entrance fees. 1 as per customer. Romans will haggle over this. A coin. To shit in marble. 2. Maintain the tersoria. There are 5 sponges for 50 customers. The sponges sit in a communal bucket of vinegar or salt water. Multiple people use the same sponge, back to back, all day. It's like sharing a toothbrush, except instead of mouths, it's, well. Archaeological evidence confirms shared tersoria were standard practice. No individual supplies, no personal hygiene, just vibes and fecal-oral transmission waiting to happen. 3. Keep the water channels flowing. Which sounds simple until a senator drops his signet ring in the shit gutter and you have to fish it out. With your bare hands. While he supervises. Careful, he says. That ring is worth more than your life. He's not exaggerating. The ring cost 80 denarii. You're valued at 60. 4. Light the oil lamps. The room has no windows, because the architects decided natural light was for people who don't work in toilets. 5. When summoned, kneel. Hand them the damp sponge. Avert your eyes. Pretend you're furniture. It's customer service, except the customer is literally shitting on you. Metaphorically and, on bad days, literally. Here's the part that breaks your brain. The Foreca is a social hub. Romans don't view public defecation as embarrassing. They sit side by side, sometimes 50 at once, and chat. They gossip. They make deals. They discuss Stoic philosophy while their bowels make decidedly unstoic noises. A senator enters. His attendant slave holds his toga while he sits. Another slave fans him. You stand nearby. Sponge at the ready. He gestures. You kneel. You hand him the tersorium. He doesn't look at you. He's mid-conversation about grain prices in Egypt, gesticulating, making points, all while you're assisting. You're invisible. A toilet paper dispenser with a heartbeat. It's like being a Starbucks barista during the morning rush, except instead of misspelling names on cups, you're wiping patrician anuses while they take business calls. The small talk is worse than the smell. Not all customers are equal. Senators and equestrians? They expect immediate service. Fresh sponges. Extra oil. They tip sometimes. A couple asses, that's the coin, or a day-old bread roll. Actually, both. The coin and the other thing. Merchants and freedmen? The middle class. They're polite because they remember being you. They make eye contact. They say thank you. You don't trust it, but you appreciate it. Soldiers on leave? Loud, drunk, terrifying. Don't make eye contact. Don't correct them when they piss in the communal sponge bucket. Just survive the interaction. Other slaves sent by their masters? They commiserate silently. You're in this together. Sometimes they slip you an extra piece of bread. You do the same when you can. It's not solidarity. It's triage. You don't have income in the modern sense. You're rented out by your owner who takes your wages, 3 denarii per month. You receive food, gruel, bread, occasional vegetables if the contractor's in a good mood. Clothing, 1 tunic, replaced annually if you're lucky. Shelter, that straw mat in the storage room. Healthcare, leeches and prayers. Let's compare to modern life. Rent? You are the rent. Groceries? Whatever the contractor feeds you. Today, it's barley porridge. Tomorrow, it's barley porridge. Next week, barley porridge, but with a rock in it for texture. Healthcare? Have you tried not being sick? Retirement plan? There is no retirement plan. You work until you die or become too sick to work, at which point you're sold at a discount or freed as an act of charity, which just means you starve with paperwork confirming you're free. Things you'll never experience in your lifetime. Toilet paper, invented in 6th century China, won't reach Europe for 1,300 years. Germ theory, 1,700 years away. You're handling human waste with your bare hands, and the closest thing to medical advice is wash with vinegar. The vinegar is also for the sponges. Same bucket. A weekend. The Roman Nundine gives you 1 market day off per 8-day week, but latrines don't close, so you work anyway. The concept of workers' rights. That's 2 millennia and several revolutions away. Soap exists, mostly used by Gauls. Romans think it's barbaric. They prefer olive oil and a scraping stick called a strigil. You prefer not dying of parasites, but nobody asked you. You will die without ever knowing what caused the diseases you'll inevitably contract. But hey, you'll also never experience influencers posting about their morning routines and gratitude practices. So it evens out, kind of. You're 23 now. You've been doing this job for 13 years. You're good at it, maybe too good. You've memorized the senator's schedules. You know which merchant always tips. You recognize regulars by their output patterns. One patrician visits every afternoon, like clockwork. He talks about his son, his vineyards, his anxieties about barbarian incursions. You listen, nod, hand him the sponge. He doesn't know your name, but you know his hemorrhoid situation intimately. This is intimacy in the Roman Empire. One day he mentions offhand, "Heard the legions are coming home from Parthia." You don't think much of it. You should have. The soldiers come home. They bring victory, glory, slaves, plunder. Also, the Antonine Plague. Modern historians believe it was smallpox, possibly measles. At its peak, it kills 2,000 people per day in Rome alone. 10% of the empire's population, gone. And you? You work in a public latrine. You handle shared sponges that have touched the bodies of hundreds of Romans, daily. You clean benches where sick men sit for hours, because diarrhea is one of the symptoms. Galen, the imperial physician, documented everything. Fever, skin eruptions, black pustules, vomiting. He recommended avoiding crowds and sick people. Then he fled Rome. Smart man. You don't have that option. The Foraca doesn't close. Romans still need to shit. Commerce continues. The city churns. You start noticing changes. Customers coughing, then fewer customers. Then the ones who remain look wrong, feverish, skin mottled, desperate. The regular who talked about his vineyards? He stumbles in, sits, starts shaking. He dies on the bench, mid-sentence. The contractor appears, looks at the body, looks at you, points. You kneel, start dragging. The other customers don't move. They just shift to different seats. You clean the bench for the next customer. Life goes on, except when it doesn't. The contractor announces reduced hours. Not for your health. There simply aren't enough customers anymore. The economy is collapsing. Tax revenue plummets. Emperor Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king who writes beautiful things about accepting fate, sells imperial furniture to fund the legions. His philosophy doesn't cover pandemics, apparently. Meanwhile, you're still scrubbing marble with vinegar, trying not to breathe too deeply, trying not to think about the fact that you touched 50 sponges today and your hands have open cuts. Studies of skeletal remains near Roman latrines show endemic intestinal parasites, whipworm, roundworm, occupational hazards that made dysentery a workplace given. You don't know any of this. You just know you're tired, always tired. One evening, you finish your shift and step outside. The sun is setting over the Forum. The Capitoline Temple glows gold. The city, this impossible, magnificent, brutal city, stretches out before you. For one moment, you feel something like wonder. The same wonder that made poets write odes, that made emperors weep, that made this city the center of the world. Then a drunk equestrian stumbles past and vomits on your sandals. You have to clean that up too. Some things transcend social class, mostly vomit. It's 168 CE. You're 26. The plague takes you, Or maybe it's the parasites. Archaeological evidence shows intestinal parasites were endemic among sanitation workers. Or maybe it's just exhaustion. The body can only take so much. You collapse during a shift. The contractor sends someone to drag you to the storage room. No physician. Physicians cost money. You are not money. You cost money. 3 days later, you're gone. There's no funeral. Slave burials are mass graves outside the city walls. No marker, no name. Just dirt and hundreds of others like you. Your replacement starts the next day. The contractor doesn't skip a beat. "You're the new Foricarius," he tells a 12-year-old. "Here's the sponge." The marble doesn't care. The water keeps flowing. Rome endures. Here's the thing. Roman sanitation is celebrated. History textbooks praise the aqueducts, the sewers, the cloaca maxima. So advanced, they say, so modern. Look at this infrastructure. And yes, compared to medieval Europe, it was. But you, the person who actually ran that system, you're forgotten. A footnote at best, an absence in the historical record. We have tax documents listing latrine rental fees. We have architectural plans for Foracae. We have graffiti carved into the marble. We don't have your name. Modern tourists visit the ruins of Roman latrines. They take photos. They laugh at the lack of privacy. They make jokes about when in Rome. None of them think about the slave who handed sponges to senators while plague ravaged the city, who died at 26 from diseases we can now cure with antibiotics. History remembers the infrastructure. History forgets the Foricarius. 2,000 years from now, someone might dig up our cities. They'll marvel at the plumbing, the logistics networks, the efficiency. They probably won't think about who cleaned it, who maintained it, who died making it run. That's how history works. The system gets remembered. The person holding the mop gets a mass grave, or a footnote, or nothing at all. You were 26. You had a name. You had thoughts. You had a life. None of it made it into the record. But for more than 10 minutes, at least, someone thought about you. Someone imagined what it was like. Someone said your existence mattered, even if history didn't. The marble's still there, by the way. In Rome, you can visit. Tourists sit on the ancient latrine benches and take selfies. The holes are still the right shape. The engineering still impresses. Some things never change. Oh, one more thing. The next time you complain about your job, remember, at least your boss doesn't literally shit on you. Well, most of you.